So India is entering the election season. Poll dates are expected to be announced tomorrow. Expect high decibel campaigns and controversies and a politically charged atmosphere. But amid all of this, India's leaders cannot take their eye off China because the border situation is still precarious and the PLA is mounting a new challenge. That's the People's Liberation Army, the PLA, the Chinese army. They recently conducted a drill at the Karakoram Plateau. This is near Eastern Ladakh. It's one of the main flashpoints in the current border standoff. And China holding drills here does not augur well. The PLA says it was a live fire test. They practiced shooting at aircraft and perhaps for the first time, female soldiers participated. Later, a Chinese mouthpiece carried this report. It says, and I quote, "The female mission platoon fired live ammunition at a new subsonic target aircraft for the first time on the Karakoram Plateau at an altitude of 4,300 meters. The female soldiers found an enemy aircraft due east and launched the missile after a countdown. The missile took off and accurately hit the target." So this was a missile test. Reports say China used a surface-to-air missile system for this drill, and the timing does raise some questions. Why did China plan this drill now, just ahead of the elections in India? Is it trying to spark fresh tensions? Is this just posturing, or is it preparation for something worse? And here's something else that I must mention. Earlier this week, India conducted a missile test, the Agni 5, India's latest nuclear deterrent. It was tested on Monday. The Agni 5 can strike multiple targets at once. On the day of the test, a Chinese ship was near the Indian coastline, carefully watching the test unfold. We told you about this on the show. So China's test could also be a demonstration in response to India's missile test. The PLA could be showing off its capabilities. And remember, a surface-to-air missile system is exactly the kind of equipment one would use to fend off aerial attacks. It can defend against enemy aircraft or missiles. Now, officially, China has not given an explanation, but drills like this one only add to the existing tensions on the border. The two sides already have a high number of troops there. This month, India added another 10,000. So 10,000 more soldiers to guard the China front from the Indian side. In Eastern Ladakh, there are at least 50,000 soldiers, both on the Indian and the Chinese side, facing each other across the length of the LAC. In fact, China could have up to 200,000 troops in all. And it is believed that India maintains similar levels. Now, with this kind of troop deployment, there's always the risk of an escalation. China's rhetoric only adds more fuel to the fire.
The China-India border issue remains unresolved. India has no right to unilaterally develop Zangnan, which belongs to China. China strongly opposes and deplores the activities of the Indian leader in the eastern section of the China-India border and has made solemn complaints with India.
He was talking about Narendra Modi, India's Prime Minister. And what are the Chinese angry about? The Sela Tunnel. It was recently inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi. It connects two Indian states, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. China has lodged repeated protests over this project. It stakes a claim to Arunachal Pradesh. China calls it South Tibet and says the state belongs to them, Arunachal Pradesh. But these claims have no basis, yet China keeps bringing them up and uses them to provoke India at the border. And this is dangerous because this is a sensitive zone. With so much firepower, the India-China border is a powder keg. One wrong move could blow it up. And the world shares these concerns. Earlier this week, the US intelligence community released a report about global conflicts and their assessment. And here's what it said about the India-China border standoff. I'm quoting, "The shared disputed border between India and China will remain a strain on their bilateral relationship. While the two sides have not engaged in significant cross-border clashes since 2020, they are maintaining large troop deployments and sporadic encounters between opposing forces risk miscalculation and escalation into armed conflict." A miscalculation is what the Americans are worried about. That's also something that India is worried about. And a live fire test by China could very well lead to miscalculations. It raises the risk of more clashes. So election or not, India will have to be on alert vis-a-vis China, lest it plans a misadventure as the world's largest democracy votes.